all. I am so excited to meet you.
I am too, likewise.
As you know, we're recording, but I basically will just kind of kick things off. If that's okay, I'll just do a quick introduction, and then obviously we'll be editing, things out as we need to go. But we'll just kind of go through the questions and
Perfect.
share.
Yeah, that works for me. I'm excited.
Awesome. Okay. Well, so we are here with ANORA. Am I saying it right? Is it ANORA?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, good. ANORA, singer, songwriter, recording artist. Welcome to Songology.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here and to answer
Yeah,
your questions, all the cool stuff. Just hang out.
absolutely. Yeah. So Songology, as you know, or maybe hopefully we sent you a little blurb, but
Yeah,
it's kind of our goal is to learn more about you as an artist, as a songwriter, learn your processes, kind of see what sort of inspirations you have, influences. Just a fun space for fans to kind of get to know you better and maybe even advice for fellow songwriters. So
sweet.
cool.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just kick it off with our first question. How do you start a song? Can you describe, how you personally would compose a song?
So usually how I like my process with writing, um, it's pretty natural. Like I will actually just be going about my day and I'll hear like a quick lyric line in my head. And if it's interesting enough, I'll kind of like follow that. Usually though, it comes as a combo where I'll get like a melody and a lyric, um, but just something catchy, or that's kind of instinctual writing, I guess that would be how that is. Or I'll just, if I'm feeling something, I'll just kind of sit down with my guitar and either my phone. I usually do a lot from my phone, like on the notepad, and then definitely have voice memo on, and or I'll have a notebook. But that's usually how I start the process. It's either you know very very natural, where it's just like, oh cool, I got it, or it's like, okay, let me just like feel this one out.
Okay, that's awesome. So you say like when you're just naturally doing stuff in the day and things just pop into your head. Like how do you like what's going through your mind? Are you just like, oh my gosh, that's really catchy, or do you like kind of let it go and see where it develops from there? I just find that so interesting, like that as a
Well,
songwriter, because you're not the
yeah,
first person to say that either.
it's it's just like the weird thing. I think it's just like an innate thing maybe in like songwriters and creators. Um, but I will legit be, going about my day, folding laundry, doing dishes, and I'll get something in my head. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. So I'll like immediately stop, go to my memos and record it really fast. Like a lot of my songs, I'll just take the memo and sing really quick, and then I'll just pause and then carry on with the rest of my day. Sometimes I have the time to finish it and start writing it. But if it's interesting enough, sometimes I do get little melodies in my head or little lyrics, and sometimes it's not like something I'm interested enough to continue to follow or pursue. So I'm like, so I'll just like leave it. But yeah, it's just definitely weird. It's like I'm thinking about normal things, going about life, and I'm just like la 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 la. So
Yeah, I like I said, you're not the first songwriter to tell me that, and I've actually witnessed it firsthand with, my husband does the same thing. So
yeah, he's like, hold on, wait.
cool. Yeah. So, and I find it amazing, and it's almost like, oh my god, they're in the space. Like, don't let him finish. Don't go interrupting. He's in the zone. Like that's just so cool.
Yeah, I'm so bad about that. Like once I'm in my zone, I'm like, shh, don't talk to me. I'm like, it's not always my favorite side of myself. I'm not always the most outgoing when I'm like writing, but I'm like, I got an idea. Don't talk, don't talk, don't talk.
Um, Hey, I'm sure some of the best stuff that you've written has probably just come from just uninterrupted being in the zone. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So then, do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
I do. Um, I was about 9 years old. Maybe I was a little older, somewhere around between like 9 and like 12.
Mhm.
I was just like learning guitar and playing chords, and I had a little chord pattern in my head that I liked. And the first song ever that I wrote was called "Flowers and Chocolate," and it's actually a song about drinking wine and eating chocolate and just a bunch of crazy things. And it actually sounds like a crazy trip, which is hilarious because I was a child writing the song. But I showed my sister the beginning of it, and she liked it. She was a preteen, and she was like, "Let's finish it." So we wrote it, and so it essentially starts with a story, and it goes, "You'll never guess what I saw last night. A boy with black hair, and his head held up high. His bow tie was red, and his eyes were blue. Holding a basket of flowers for you." And then it just like takes you on a little journey of
Oh my
some crazy outlandish stuff. Like there's a portion in the song where um, a cheese, a cat and a mouse are eating cheese,
goodness.
and it's just so crazy. But yeah, that was the first song I wrote, and then collabed with my older sister. So
Wow, that's amazing, and I love how your age, but, like, the subject of what you're singing about is very mature, and even the tone like, the sound, the tune that you have, it's kind of old timer, like, old soulish in my opinion, so and I love how it just goes into more random, like, kid thoughts after that, like
yeah, it's just like a crazy like dream, and it's funny because a lot of my dreams are very random and weird. So it's kind of funny as a child just writing it out. And yeah, it's a pretty funny song. I want to record it one day, and kind of do like a cool reggae, because it has kind of like an island sound. Because my dad's family is mostly from Hawaii. He's from California, but they're mostly from that. So we got a lot of island influence, whether it was like the Hawaiian folk music and stuff. Um, but yeah, that song kind of has that vibe, which is funny because I had no idea I'd be going into reggae at that point.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's so cool that your family from your dad's side of the family is from Hawaii,
Yeah,
right?
my dad's a mutt. My dad's a Puerto Rican, Hawaiian, Chinese, and
Same.
yeah,
Fellow here.
that's awesome. And then my mom's Cuban, so
Oh, wow.
it's just a mishmash.
That's a really good mixture in my opinion. That's awesome. I bet you your food and your family gatherings is probably off the hook.
Dude, I am excited for every Christmas. My mom started making it like a tradition to cook all Cuban stuff. So we'll do Christmas Eve, and she does yuca, plantains, arroz con pollo, and it's just like it's heaven. I just love it. I don't need a Christmas present. I just need my mom to make me a Cuban food.
Right? Oh, yes, yes, that's all some of that sounds familiar. I'm Filipino, so there's a lot of,
Ooh,
like, Filipino food in there, and then my husband's South American, he's Peruvian, so arroz con pollo is also really popular
I
for
love
us.
it.
Yeah, and, like, lomo saltado and yes, so I
That's
totally
a
get it. It's
That's a
always
great
fun.
combo. I feel
Right.
like the island and the Latin just needs to mix together more often, and it's just
Definitely.
the best.
Definitely. That's so yeah, oh my gosh, now I'm hungry.
I
Um
same. I'm like, can I have some?
So, next question. So, what was the most challenging songwriting project you have completed to date? Or what would you say that would be?
I feel like every song kind of poses a challenge in a sense. Not always for like once it's written, but like the production side and getting that going. Oftentimes I'll have songs kind of waiting on the shelf like for like 5 plus years. Just because the production side, I'm not a producer myself, though I would love to dabble in that one day. But it's hard to find someone that you work well with, and
Mhm.
also someone that is affordable. And a lot of people don't realize this, but getting a good producer costs money. So that's the biggest challenge and obstacle I've encountered with most of my projects actually is, okay, so like, do I have the funding for this? How am I going to figure this out? Cause it's all indie, it's all me. So, um, figuring out that. So I wouldn't say the projects themselves have been too challenging. Most producers I've worked with, they are able to translate my ideas somehow into something fresh, and I'm pretty open minded with like the concept of a song. Like I don't always have it set in stone. Like I hear it like this is how it has to go. I'm kind of like I need to leave it open for their expression as well. So that part's amazing. The hard part for me is the funding and financial aspect of it. Like I really wish I learned how to produce a lot sooner.
Well, I mean, the songs that I've heard are amazing. And yeah, I was just listening to you earlier too today to kind of help me prep. So I was like, oh, that's okay. And then of course that, Hello song came up and I was like, oh, this is definitely such a fun one. And
I
I love,
love that one.
yeah,
It's fun.
it's great.
That one was very special. That one, that one was maybe that was the one that posed the most obstacle for me, kind of like inwardly, is going into write with Trish of HIRIE, who's
Mhm.
such like she's like just such a heavyweight, but she is so sweet and so kind and was so encouraging. But I didn't tell her, but I was so insecure about writing with her. I'm like, oh my gosh, am I gonna come up with something cool? Like, are we gonna collab? Like, what's her vibe? Because I'd never met her before. Um, so kind of trying to quiet those insecurities so I
Mhm.
can just write and collab and have just that pure music vibe and have a good time. That was challenging, and I'm glad it happened because I was able to be like, wow, this isn't as bad as my brain was like making it out to be, and this was awesome. I'm so glad I did this. I was so nervous.
Yeah, and I would be right. I mean, I'm not a songwriter by any means, but I would be right there with you. But I love that you found it to be like a growing experience. And, like, even though you had those insecurities, you still, like, went for it and did what you had
Yeah,
to do. Use your
it's
songwriting
funny.
skills to, yeah.
It's funny because that's kind of how the song translated. Because we were talking about let's make a self love song, an empowerment song, and so a lot of especially my verse and then the chorus to follow. It's very like I got this. I could do anything, and then like that's funny how that kind of translated into lyrics and then into a song. Like
That's so cool. That's so cool to hear. So yeah, so then about, let's shift a little bit to writing. Do you have any like techniques or any advice to for people with like writer's block or if you get writer's block, like, what's your process? How do you overcome that?
so, I kind of have like two methods to that little trade. If it's something for myself, um, I do really tend to wait on the inspiration or that moment of like, oh, like, okay, like I'm going to create this, or, what if I hear something. So I don't put too much pressure on myself because then I'll just get in my head about it. Um, and with my own projects, it's more free flowing. I'm indie. I don't have deadlines. I don't have crazy, things to meet. So when it's for me, it's totally like no pressure. If I hear a good hook or I hear a good chorus, I'll write it down, memo it, and then maybe I'll get to it in a couple days if I have time. Because I just became a mom like a year ago. So now my time is very, thank
And
you. My time is very, very like split. So now I'll just, if I have that moment, I'll kind of, marinate in it for lack of a better word, and I'll write a song. But I try not, when it's my own projects, I try to not to put too much pressure because I feel like that'll rob of what I'm trying to do. But if it's for another person, I kick it into a whole nother gear and I'm like, all right, what's like everything I know, and I like pull out all the stops and I try to do the best I can to get something out. And um Usually my method with that is I'll just usually I get sent a track. So I'll just run it and walk around the house and sing just different melodies or get creative with it and usually hum and just hum and until words come and then I'm like, okay, do I want to follow where this song is going? So that's how I run other people's music when I'm writing for other people. I definitely just walk and write.
Yeah, okay, that is very interesting. Um, so repetitiveness sounds like it's really the key, a
It's
key role in how,
very
yeah.
repetitive. Like I will just run that until I get it. And then I'm like, okay, I like this. Let's, let me go into my little makeshift studio, record it and send it off and see what the producer thinks that I've been writing with or something. Um, but yeah, I just run it to death basically until I hate the song. I'm like, okay, I'm over this. But that's what you got to do sometimes to like get something out because on my own, if it's for me, it's totally different. But I always want to do the very best I can in either situation.
Mhm.
So, especially when I'm sending it out to someone, I'm like, here, like, this is sometimes I'll even write three versions because I'm like, okay, pick and choose what you like.
Yeah. Well, that's good that you have options at least. Yeah,
Right?
that's
I think so.
um,
Sometimes.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's really helpful. That's good advice, I think, for a lot of people. And just in general, like not just songwriting, like people have writer's block for I'm sure all kinds of different things. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
helpful.
I heard somewhere like if you get around and you move, um, the idea will come instead of just kind of like sitting there and be like, okay, like let me just get this out. But it's like if you're kind of distracting your mind with walking and not, it's a different way of not putting pressure on yourself because I'm still trying to get something out. But um,
Mhm.
it does help. It works. Walking can help you and you can be inspired.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, getting your body moving, creates the endorphins and all that stuff. So there's plenty of benefits, I'm sure. That's awesome. Okay, so you talked about we talked about or you mentioned deadlines, like when you're working with other people and writing projects for them. So how do you manage your day and I guess maybe balance songwriting for yourself or with projects and kind of what's your process for managing your deadlines and
um,
projects?
so it's very chaotic because balancing it is tricky. Oftentimes something will go to the wayside because I want to get it done. And that's honestly the best way I've found to get things out. Like everything, whether like I stop working out for a little bit or, stop posting a little bit, I post a little less on social media. Like just so I get it out, something has to fall to the wayside and that's okay. And like at first I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I'm not doing everything because as an artist and an indie artist, you're supposed to, make sure you're on top of social media, make sure you're on top of like this or that. And um now I've kind of become more understanding of myself and like you're not superwoman. You need to allow yourself space to like just get that task done. So usually um, if I have a project running or something, I have to make a to-do list. And even though, my laundry may be like going crazy and the sink is full, I'm like, you know what? Got to get this done and then that later. But that's really how I manage that and get things done. It's just you got to let other things kind of fall to the back burner.
I don't know. You sound like Superwoman to me, especially with a new mom and oh my gosh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's timing. Like, like when the husband's off, I'm like, okay, you're watching her, and then I gonna get stuff done. But a lot of stuff within naps, I'm like, okay, let me fit this in during naps. So that's why lists have been so helpful to me, especially in this
Mhm.
last year. I'm like, okay, knock these out, and that it's okay. Because if I'm just like kind of keep it in my brain, I'll like forget, or I'll be like, oh, I was supposed to do that, I didn't get to it. So it helps me focus a little more because I
Yeah.
definitely get pulled in different directions.
Yeah. Well, and I like how I think what you mentioned, like allowing yourself that leeway. I think that's really important, and
Yeah, it's so
especially with your
important.
time management. Like if you don't get to something, like you can get to it tomorrow. Like it's not,
Yeah.
like you just do what you can for the day. The in between naps thing. Oh my gosh, that resonates so much with me. Like I
Yeah,
really
dude,
hate
you
in
have
between
to. Like, I was like, how
naps
did my mom do this? This is crazy. And
and
sometimes, yeah, it's just we get it done, we manage it, we figure it out. But
yeah.
yeah, we need to give ourselves some grace and be like, you know what, we're doing the most that we can do in this moment. The
Yeah,
other stuff can wait. Like
that's
that
super
took me a
powerful to
second
all of
though.
you. Yeah.
That took
Oh,
me a
for
second
sure.
to realize. I was like over here, like, oh my gosh, I'm not able to do anything I want to for me or like my dreams. And then it took some conversations with my husband. He's like, the dishes aren't that important, like that social event is not important. It's if it's your dream, you put it first. And he kind
Yeah.
of has helped me kind of like keep focus because I'm the artist. I'm kind of like, oh, I'm here, I'm there, you know. So, oops,
Yeah.
sorry, I totally just hit my phone and just like took it.
No worries. We'll cut that part out.
Sweet.
The outtake. It'll be a little blooper. I'm just kidding.
Like whoop.
um, no, that's very, very good advice. And I think it is helpful, especially, I mean, women, to hear that, like, and to remember that, we're just, we're human and
Yeah, and like social media, I'm sure everyone can resonate. It's that perfect moment, that perfect whatever. But like for me, like if you see that it's like I post on social media, that was time I set aside for, someone's watching my baby, or, I haven't done laundry in like a couple days, maybe a week or so. So if I'm more productive on something, something else is fallen aside. But
And yeah, but the fact that you have a supportive husband that and a support system basically that can
yeah,
allow
yeah,
you
I'm
to
so
create
grateful.
definitely is that's great. Okay, so let's jump to inspirations and influences. So let's start with like what artists inspire you the most to become a songwriter?
So I really did grow up with so much music around me and influence. Like neither of my parents are musicians. My dad does, he does dabble in like guitar and ukulele and like all of that. But he loved music. My mom loves music. Um
I can
so
imagine with your with your parents. Yeah, music is
yeah,
probably a big part of your life. That's
yeah,
awesome.
so just like listening to so many genres. And the person though that really did inspire me to even think about writing or start writing was my older sister Oli. She started writing, I don't know, like super super young. um, and she just come up with songs. She was super prolific at writing, like at a young age. And seeing like what joy it brought to her and joy it brought to the people around her, I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. So I was like, I'm little sister. I'm going to do that too. So she was the biggest inspiration and in starting the whole songwriting and wanting to songwrite and learn to express myself in that way. And it's crazy because I found out that it is one of the easiest ways for me to express myself is with music. Um, but yeah, a lot of that is related to my sister, which is it's cool.
Cool. Yeah. Does she still write music and
She does. She does. She actually had some success in like the EDM genre, like electronic music. And I forget when it was. I think I want to say 2016, 2014. She had she did a song called Bring Back the Summer with Rain Man. And so that she had some success there. And the rest of the time though, she's just stuck with songwriting, and she still creates and releases music. But she does really enjoy just kind of songwriting and being creative, and she's gotten into producing a little bit. So that's what she's
Cool.
up to.
Well, maybe you guys would be like a little duo, a little producing songwriting
That
team.
would be cool. We have talked about like creating, doing a song together and collabing. So hopefully we'll figure that out soon. But yeah, she's been doing her thing, and I've been doing mine. But it's been cool. We were in a band when we were like teenagers together, and that was fun.
That sounds like fun. That's really cool. And then so your sister's an inspiration. What about, do you feel like you get compared to any particular artist? Like when people hear your music, are they like, oh, you remind me of so and so?
Yeah. So as a kid, like it's funny that you mentioned like old soul thing. As a kid, I loved listening to Nat King Cole and like Frank
Oh,
Sinatra and like Billie Holiday and all of that.
right.
So but then at the same time, like, growing up in like the 2000s, I also loved pop and like, Paramore and like all of that. So I think that really helped in like creating a unique sound. But at the same time, I don't know exactly, but I have been compared a lot to Amy Winehouse, which I'm not mad about. And it kind of makes sense because Amy kind of fell into that jazzy pop,
Yeah.
like she kind of brought that together for us. And so I've been compared to her, and I'm not mad about it. She's kind of
Awesome.
amazing. I love her so much. So
Yeah.
um yeah, Amy Winehouse for sure. That's what I've been compared to.
Yeah, I can definitely hear that for sure. But I love the tone in your voice too. Like
Thank
I just have
you.
to say, like it's very like, I don't know. I hate to say the word vibey, but it's vibey.
Thank you. I love a
I feel like
vibe.
if you're all like if you're
No,
all vibey, but that's
sometimes there's just not a word. Thank
it's
you though.
makes you feel like you just feel good, and I don't know, like that's kind of
Thank
I'm
you.
just
That
like
means a lot.
thanks. You're welcome. Yeah. So yeah. So let's dive deeper into, like, we talked about some inspirations, but when it comes to like key influences in your songwriting, like, do you find that like you draw more from like personal experience, or would you say you're more of like a storyteller, or maybe 50-50, 80-20? What would you say?
Yeah, it's probably a 50-50 thing. Um, like the biggest like influence and draw to writing for me is it's just the need to create something, and that's like the first thing for me. Whether like how it determines like what I'm talking about, it always varies. But uh I would say it is a mix of storytelling and my own personal stuff. Obviously, like Hello was, kind of derived from, um, what I was feeling in the room, and but then it was a collab because I collabed with HIRIE and all the girls on it. But yeah, so it's a mixture of both, and I either want to write something um because I'm just feeling something, and I'd like, okay, how do I express this? It doesn't always turn out um, even like what I'm feeling, but it's just the need to create and get something out. Um, yeah, so it does depend on the day. Like I'm like, okay, am
Yeah.
I gonna write this because I'm mad, or am I gonna write this because this friend went through something and I'm kind of empathizing with them and they inspired that. So it's 50-50.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so. And I'm just like, I always wonder like how, like I love hearing stories about, some of my favorite songs, and like how the topics come about. So that's why I find it interesting when people talk like, is it more personal experience, or is it like, and then how do you like, how do you elaborate on a topic, and do you
Yeah,
decide right then and there, like this is more of
yeah.
like a message out to people that I want them to connect with, or is it just me like hashing out my own internal feelings
Yeah.
and thinking,
I for me it's both. Like it's always like a dual kind of reason like why I'm writing because um like there's a few songs like, oh, I do want to write this to like inspire others, but at the same time it's kind of a pep talk to myself, if whatever song it is or um just kind of yeah, it's just crazy. I kind of picture songwriters, a lot of us as kind of just authors. Like, sometimes they write a fiction, sometimes they're writing, like a biography and
"Mhm,
whatever. So yeah, it's just very it's crazy. It is really crazy. It's mind blowing to me because sometimes I'll even write songs. I'm like, that is not me at all. Like, but I just wrote it because I was feeling sassy or like I don't know.
that's so cool." Yes, that's what I love. Like I don't think I could ever like put myself in someone else's shoes and write about what they're feeling. Although I would love to like do that. Like just let my mind, just go off and pretend like I'm somebody else and just like write about that. So
Hmm.
that's yeah. I think a lot of
Yeah,
fellow songwriters would probably agree and like, kind of take that into consideration when they're writing their own songs.
yeah. Everyone has like their different methods, so it is really cool to like dive in and like see because like I love to hear. I'm like you. I love to hear like the backstory of songs. Like I love those intimate writers' nights. Like I used to live in Nashville, and so we'd go to the open mics, and then people would like go into their songs, and I loved that part of it because then you like knew like what for a moment you could experience what they're experiencing or did, and it's crazy. Like one time I was at an open mic, and this guy was going on about his story about how his song came to be, and the producer I guess was there with him, and he was like, just sing the song, they're gonna figure out what it's about like once they hear it. And I'm like, that's not the case. Like we all interpret things differently when we hear it, so I always love to hear the backstories of songs.
Yeah, and when it ties back to like maybe you or something you experienced, that's even more like, like very
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
the magic in music when it's like the commonality and you're like, wait, we all it's resonating with all
yeah,
of us.
I'm not alone. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so instruments. So
Yes.
it sounds like you play the guitar.
Yes.
Okay. Are there other instruments that you wish you had learned or that you'd maybe like to learn?
The list can
Or
go
that
on
you
for me because I there's so much I want to do in life, but I do often regret that I quit piano. Um because it's just such a beautiful instrument. Just there's something about sitting down and playing the keys and just the sound that comes out of that. It goes from like it's just a very feeling instrument to me. Like as is the guitar, but I think because I play the guitar, it's it's different. And so I think one day I will go back to piano. But then there's also the side of me that I just want to improve my skill with guitar. Because I'm not a shredder by any means, but I would love to learn that part of guitar. I think that's where the true like magic and soul comes in when playing guitar. But yeah, piano has always been one that always gets me, and I'm like, "Ah, I just want to be able to sit down and just like play away." Um,
just do you
yeah,
ever like find yourself just kind of like noodling or like like messing with the keys
as
or
as a teenager, more so, we had a piano in our house. So I would like kind of sit there and I learned a few songs. They were like simpler, but I did learn. But then once I was out of the house, it was just a guitar is so portable. So it was just, me and the guitar. And then so I haven't found a reason to invest in a piano yet. So but I do love to noodle around when I do see one. I'm like, you know, I brush my fingers across the keys. I'm like, oh,
yeah, the same. Like you just have to touch it, even though I could not play anything. I think chopsticks is what I learned when I was like
that's awesome.
but just to like, you just want to push them. Like, I don't know. Like, I just want to like
It's
push
like
them a little bit.
buttons. Like it's just I was one of those kids where my mom was like, "Stop that! You stop touching things." Like she had to like restrain me from touching buttons. So I think the piano kind of speaks to that side of me where I'm just like
Yeah.
beep boop beep boop.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably why they put a guitar in front of you because they're like, she's got to put her hand somewhere.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they did.
That's great. Okay, so let's move on to a more broader question. This is a big one, or I guess I put pressure on people about it, but it's just so broad. So,
Okay.
what is the best advice ever given to you? And yeah, could be song related to songwriting, or otherwise maybe that kind of ties into your songwriting. What would you say?
So as far as advice for songwriting, it was kind of it's kind of hard for me to coin like an exact like set of advice um that was given. I've gotten a lot of amazing encouragement that kind of keeps fueling, the fire for that creation and stuff. So that's been a huge blessing. But I would say my dad would say this all the time, and I don't know if it's like his own realization or if he got it from someone else, which is totally fine. But it helped me as a kid, and it was always like, be prepared to be prepared. So just like be ready for anything. So that that really has stuck with me in my songwriting as far as like you know I need to always be working on it, be working on the craft because I don't know when's the next time I don't know when the next time is that I'll be, in a writer's room with like a ton of writers or musicians. And so that's been really cool. Or like at the drop of a hat, if someone's like, "Hey, I need you to play this gig." So that's where it kind of has tied into my musicianship, being like, okay, I need to be ready to play this because I had a few fumbles when I was younger where I was like, I got this, but like no practice like beforehand, and I totally flopped and embarrassed myself. So being prepared for anything, being prepared to be prepared. That's what my dad would say. And he took it in his life because he used to box when he was younger. So when he would kind of train us, he wanted us to be his like little Ronda Rouseys and stuff. But I was like, Dad, that's too violent for me. I don't want to do this. So he do like wanted to teach us like the self defense side. So he's like, be prepared to be prepared and take that with you in the rest of your life. So it definitely touched upon like my artistic side and been like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be prepared for this. And one more thing that I did just remember, um, I wrote with a friend one time, and she totally called me out. I was like, I don't know how I would like present the idea to her, but when we were writing, I'd be like, okay, so what if we did this? Or like maybe not. Like maybe that's okay. It's okay not. Like, and I'm very apologetic about my ideas, or be like, oh no, that's okay. Or like just not assertive in it. And she's like, dude, just say your idea and just put it on the table. You don't have to like apologize for it or be like meek about it. Just say like, this is my idea. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but don't say sorry. And I was like, that is so weird, because it was like a nervous thing I was doing. Be like, oh, we could put this in or not. Like, okay, no worries. And she was like, no, be assertive. So she really helped me with that, which was definitely enlightening. I was like, thanks for calling me out. I was totally just being like pulling back and be like, well, like maybe, I don't know. So
Yes. Oh, that's interesting. And I feel like that definitely transcends past songwriting. So, like, just, in life in general, because I do the same thing. I mean, like I said, I don't songwrite, but I do the same thing when I have ideas or thoughts, in my own day job or whatever I'm doing. And
yeah,
I do find that, like, it's like I kind of create that out when maybe you don't need to. You can say the
yeah,
stuff you say, and if it's not the right fit or whatever, then you move on, and that's
yeah,
so
like it's a
interesting.
lot better to just be like, I can accept that you're not cool with this, but to just immediately throw out something with an insecurity attached to it, it's like that it could have been received really well, but because you delivered it the way you did, then it's like, so that made a lot of sense to me and it really resonated. And I have carried that with me going into writing rooms and just like you said, the rest of my life, I'm like, damn, I need to be assertive.
Yes, that's great advice for songwriters. I think the underlying theme with some of these interviews that I've done is, it's not always a set process, and it's okay to kind of do different things or go off script or throw something out there that sticks or not, but don't like be assertive, like you said, like just go for it, and
Yeah. And being
something.
assertive, it's not mean, especially if you're like, okay with like people rejecting you.
Mhm.
So it is a balance, like, be nice, be kind, don't be
Right.
the like don't think you're the person that's got it all together in the room, but definitely let your voice be heard.
Yeah, and yeah, just put it out there. Yeah, that's awesome. That's great advice. In my well, so we are down to the last question. It's really just some parting words. I mean, I would love to know like what's going on with ANORA and songwriting in general projects. Anything you've got coming out or coming up that we can kind of promote and plug.
Yeah,
Let's hear it.
that's awesome. Okay, so I'm always writing. That's just a given. Always trying to perfect the craft and get music out to people, and um, definitely going for it, and working, trying to find producers and stuff. And so I have a couple songs in the works. So I'm very excited that's going to be happening. I do have my song "Burn Slow" coming out August 18th. That I wrote that one with my sister Oli, and then with a producer named Torsten Stenzel of York. And so we got to work on that one together, and it was a process because we started that song back in 2020, um, and we actually flew out to the island he lives at, in Antigua, and so I'm so excited that that song's finally coming out. Um, and so that's happening August 18th. There's a whole story behind it. It's crazy. But that one's kind of like the spicy, sexy summer song, end of summer song, because we're at a close with
Oh,
this
you're
season.
right.
But and then I've got on August 18th as well, I'm gonna be playing with Muffin But Good Vibes at their post party event.
Yay.
Opening up for Dan Kelly of Fortunate Youth, which is mind blowing. That's insane. I cannot believe that's happening. There's my
Oh, we
daughter
love
yelling
you.
in the background.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, so August 18th, that's going down. And I'm super excited and thankful to Craig and the Muffin But Good Vibes family for inviting me on, even when I think I only have like 4 or 5 songs out right now. So, that he's totally trusting that I'm going to be able to play his full set, which I can, but, it's all going to be, it's a mix of what I have out and what I don't have out. So it's really cool to have that, to, to have him believe in me that much to open for, Dan Kelly. So I'm excited
Yeah.
about that. Some exciting stuff that I can't talk about are happening in September. So just be on the lookout. But
We
always,
definitely.
always, I'm really excited for those, that happening in the near future. But always, always just like working on music, perfecting the craft. We're gonna try to get into festivals next year. We're hoping for those. That would be a dream come true. And I'm like, I made it. I did it. Um, so yeah, that's all the things going down with the
Goodness.
Nora project.
Oh, that's so great. All the goodness. Yes, we love Dan Kelly. He's awesome. Chris also, nothing but good vibes. Awesome. So August 18th. It's a double whammy for you.
It
Song
is. Yeah. I
and a
did it to
show.
myself. I was like, I want to get a song out and I want to play the show. So I'm
Yeah,
going to be
hey.
playing the song for the first time, for everyone at that gig. So that's in Oceanside. I don't know, where are you located?
We're out here in Colorado.
Colorado?
Yeah,
Dang it, you're
but
so
we
far
love
away.
I know, but we love ocean. I wonder if they'll live stream it. We could probably live stream it. That would be
That would
fun.
be so cool.
Yeah, I know.
Hopefully they
Well,
do, or maybe they'll, like, live record it and then post it, who knows? But,
yeah. Well, that's super exciting, and yeah, that sounds great, and we look forward to all the stuff coming up, and we'll definitely help you promote however we can. And
thank you, I
again, I
appreciate it.
do appreciate your time, and thank you so much for meeting with me and talking to us about songwriting and your processes. I feel
Yeah,
like
hopefully that was helpful to some people, I don't know.
I think it was. It's you're like the third person that's always like, I don't know if I said anything helpful, but truly, like just talking about it, it's very helpful. And like I think songwriters can take a lot from what you talked about, female songwriters even. So which,
Yeah, we need
I
more of those. They're there, but
right,
we need to come out of the caves that we're in.
right.
Um,
Yes.
no, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. This is super fun, and it's always cool to be able to get on a platform and just like express myself and talk. And because you can't, you can only express so much with music, so it's cool that people can come here and hear our conversation and get
Yeah.
in the know and hear a little bit about me and even learn about you. Like this has been a pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you. And yes, that is the goal. Little by little, we'll just take it a day at a time, but improve at least 1%. That's what I always hear, especially with my workout videos that I follow. Just improve 1%.
Yeah, same. I'm with you. I'm so with you. I'm like, all right, if I just work out today, like I'm good. I'm good. So
I hit my 1%, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, well, thank you. I will give you some time back if that's okay. And but unless there's anything else you'd like to add or any other questions
I
you have.
I think I covered everything. I know as soon as I log off, I'm gonna be like, wait, I should have said this.
I
But
know,
no,
right?
I'm good. Thank you so much. You have an awesome night.
I did want to ask you. So your sister's name is Oli?
Yeah, OLY.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I have a sister. Well, she's my sister-in-law, but her name is also Oldie.
Is that her nickname? Because that's my sister's nickname.
It is. Her full name is Oliva.
That's so cool. So my sister's name, full name is, her first name's Leanna, and then her middle name is Hawaiian, is Haole. And so
Oh,
I guess growing up, like my parents would call her Leanna Haole. And so my sister that's in between her and she couldn't say Leanna, so she said Oli. So
oh,
I love it. And so it stuck with her whole life, and then she made it her artist name. So
that's
yeah.
that's so cool. Yeah, that's great. Well, that's so funny because I was like, oh, she keeps saying Oli, and that's so funny. Like I don't know many Olis, and
You're like, I know an Oli. That's awesome. I have to tell my sister, I'm like, I know of an Oli now. Another
I know
Oli.
different, full name, but yeah, that's great.
Yeah. But it's funny, they both have it's the nickname because she always gets Ollie a lot. Like people will call her Ollie. And I'm
Right.
like, no, it's Ollie.
Yeah, yeah, and so my Oli spells it I'm sorry, Ollie, which of course is like I think the skater term for Ollie is.
Yeah, I think
So
I tried
they
that
all
once in
spelled
my
it
life.
out.
I'm awful.
Okay, well, thank you so much again, and yeah, I don't have anything else, and I hope you have a really great rest of your day.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
My husband just said we should do a food episode because we were both like familiar with
Dude,
all the deliciousness.
dude, I always think about that. I'm like, wouldn't it be so cool to have like a food channel or something? Because like my favorite thing to do is like watch like any sort of cooking show, or I don't know if you guys like Hot Ones. Like, have you seen that
Oh my
interview?
gosh, I
I'm
love hot I
obsessed.
think
I'm obsessed with it. So I'm like, can I do like a cool like music reggae thing? So I
right.
mean, I'm always down for a food uh hangout.
Okay, yeah. So it's funny because that's another like content piece we're toying with is just like either baking or cooking. with people and like talking to them about, their music and whatever stuff, but just like eating whatever we're cooking at the end. Like I think is
That sounds
a
amazing.
reward in itself.
That's like such a good idea. I'm 100% game.
Yes, then you'll probably be the first person I reach out to.
Like, welcome. We have a cooking show now.
Right. Well, thank you so much, and yeah, I'll reach out to you when this is ready, and we'll definitely, kind of connect with you and let you know. But I appreciate your time, and yeah, hope
All
you have
right.
a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You guys take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.